After a very hotly contested qualifying session that saw Zach Webster and Carl Hampton fail to make the show, rookie Michaela Perry-Jones from the Indiana late model scene took her first career pole. However, she and the rest of the top 10 will not hit the track until Stage 2. Aaron Coultier, who qualified 11th, will lead the field to the green in Stage 1, and the top 16 finishers from Stage 1 will transfer to Stage 2. The Trophy Dash unfortunately ended with quite a few torn up cars. This was the fight for the lead. Marv Allen in the 333 got run over by Archer Helms in the 74. Luther Austin and Grand Racing's future is in doubt after this accident with another one of the Freya Saito cars, Garrett Brunswick in the 15. But the Super Series regulars, Grand Racing, have really struggled here in the low dollar series. But when the dust settled, it would be Zach Webster taking the win over Carl Hampton. So at least they were able to salvage a few points. Mo Lester, Ruslan Bashimov, and Eddie Vero, Noah Dalitz's regular crew chief, and FARC Truck Series regular, would finish in the last points-paying positions. And now we go trackside once again to bring you the highlights of the Smash Beer One for the Road 100 here at Nelson Ledges. Aaron Coultier leads at the start of Stage 1, but he's off to a very slow start. Jim Kidd in the 18 qualified on his outside, but very quickly pulls into the lead. Monica Rook in the 22 follows suit. Aaron Coultier shuffled back to third in the first couple of corners, but we got one car off, and it's Mark Thompson, the points leader. He made contact with Jacob Card returning in that 77 car for Team Thunder, and Mark Thompson goes straight into the tire walls. He is the first one out. And it looks like Thompson moved over on Jacob Card. That may have been Brandon Krasta to his inside. Can't tell for sure, but the end result is the same. Mark Thompson with another early exit like at ABQ. We'll have to see what that does to his points lead, as we saw Ben McClellan in the 228 getting turned off the road by Timothy Ruiz in the 212. He lost several spots but kept it going. Meanwhile, battle for the lead is between Todd Stater and Jim Kidd. Todd Stater, the second place finisher at the Carl's Superstore last week, makes the move on the outside, runs off the road a little bit, and makes it stick. Todd Stater moves up to the Stage 1 lead at the end of lap 2. Meanwhile, Liam O'Connor, making his first start for Power Surge America, runs over Aaron Coultier, and that's the end of the race for the 13. Liam O'Connor not impressing anybody in his first start of the season. More problems for Power Surge America under the following caution. Rip Tyler goes up in smoke and ends his day. Sergei Yakovsky trying to pick off two cars at once for the second spot. Jim Kidd and Monica Rook going three wide. Contact between the 82 and the 18. None of these drivers backing off at all, but they somehow make it work despite how narrow this track is. Yakovsky swings it around the outside and moves up into second place. Yakovsky's been struggling in his first full low dollar series season. He's been relegated to the trophy dashes twice already. The battle for 21st was more hotly contested than we thought it would be, as Donnie Ashcroft, very desperate to get the spot, runs into the back of Neil Miller. Miller trying to get back onto the track, but there's of course no grip in the grass, and Miller goes straight into the wall. Neil Miller needed a wild card to get into this race, and unfortunately that didn't work out for him. The final lap of Stage 1 now. Todd Stater trying to hold off Sergei Yakovsky as they round the final corner. Yakovsky runs out of time, and Todd Stater will cruise to the Stage 1 victory. And here's the battle to get into Stage 2. Hunter Blaze has the final transfer spot. Winston Orwell, making his first start of the year, wants it. There's Alexa Lake making the move on Ben McClellan for 14th place, and Hunter Blaze will hold off Winston Orwell for 16th. Time for Stage 2 now. It's Michaela Perry-Jones versus Keegan Mallory on the front row. And just like the start of Stage 1, Mallory pulls ahead. Here comes Riley Durbin in the 38, trying to take second from Perry-Jones as Mallory gets away. Another early crash in the back. And it'll be Todd Stater and Carrie Fenton making contact, setting off a small pileup. Jim Kidd and Grant Carsons are involved, among a few others. Let's see how this happened from on board the 86. That was just everybody running out of room. That was Harry Esanola on the left side of the 64 of Carrie Fenton, and Fenton just bounced in front of the 66. And as they race back to the caution, Ben McClellan gets into the back of Noah Dalitz in the 63. Dalitz desperately trying to turn back onto the road, but just like we saw with Neil Miller in stage 1, he's just going to go straight into that tire wall. Amazingly, Noah Dalitz will be the only guy falling out of the race from everything that happened on that first lap, but here we have Manny Green going out of the race under yellow. Chuck Johnson into the back of Brandon Krasta after the restart, and Krasta would be the next one eaten by that tire wall. Meanwhile, this is the battle for second, Dan Lecklider versus Riley Durbin. Dan Lecklider, the short tracker from Florida, does have some road course ability. He led a lot of laps at Carl Superstore last week, and he does have a win at a rain-soaked race at Road America. Billy Ray Smith-Thompson was hoping for a better day after a miserable Carl Superstore outing, but this day is just going to end in more misery as Jim Kidd, apparently still on a rampage that started last week, got into the back of him, and predictably he goes into the tire wall. Same thing with Anthony Griffith after some contact with Alexa Lake, who would then go off the road and into the tire wall herself. Instant karmic retribution. Under the ensuing caution, Keegan Mallory leads the field into the pits. And that's Mariano Zavala in the 94 for M&J Racing in second place instead of Dan Lecklider. My mistake. Zavala, in his first start of the year, some contact with Mallory, but he beats him out of the pits. Mariano Zavala to the lead. He's definitely good on road courses. He won at Meadowdale last year. But we've had a crash in the pits as Timothy Ruiz pulls out right in front of Packer Carroll, who came into the pits 8th. But now, with all that damage, Packer Carroll will go out. Packer Carroll overcame, getting spun into a ditch to finish 7th last week. No such opportunity today. And Keegan Mallory is going to have to come back into the pits coming to the restart. Looks like that contact with Mariano Zavala may have cut down a tire. But while that round of pit stops was bad news for some drivers, it was good news for others, as whatever problems Michaela Perry-Jones had on the initial start seemed to have been fixed, as she jumps into second place after restarting 4th, and it looks like she's even going to start chasing down Mariano Zavala in the 94. Chuck Johnson's certainly been eager to put the bumper to people. He almost takes out Harry Enola, but Enola keeps it on the track. Johnson has made his way up into the top 10 and is one of Mark Thompson's closest championship rivals. A bit further upfield, Thomas Kohler is running 5th after going out of the race at Carl's Superstore last week, but he's giving that car another good showing so far. And here comes Michaela Perry-Jones going off the road, trying to get the lead from Mariano Zavala. It's the Indiana short tracker versus the Venezuelan open wheel and Americar veteran, but Perry-Jones has top 10 finishes in her last 2 starts, and the Ike Durbin team is looking very fast this year. More misery and a season filled with it for Monica Rook as she blows up in the middle of the front stretch, running in 11th. And I don't think that car is going to make it back to the pits, but she's pulling back onto the racing surface for some reason. That's going to draw a caution for sure. Here comes Keegan Mallory lagging behind. He takes to the grass to try to avoid her, but he just clips that 22. Thankfully, that wasn't a much worse crash, but still more trouble for Keegan Mallory, thanks to Monica Rook insisting on staying on the track. Trouble for Thomas Kohler as he has to pull into the pits under this caution. He had bait his way up to 3rd, but obviously he's not going to stay there. Looks like a tire was going down on the 83. Timothy Ruiz also pits, running in 10th. He's beaten that 212 car up today. And Sergei Akovsky has driven all the way up to 5th after finishing 2nd in stage 2. But now he goes out after a very promising day. After the restart, Keegan Mallory is a man on a mission. It looks like he's bump drafting the 52 of Megan Gallagher all the way down the backstretch. The back of that car is caved in after hitting the tire wall thanks to Monica Rook, but he's not letting that stop him. He pushes the 52 past the 38 of Riley Durbin, and now he's going to get to work on the 38 himself. Meanwhile, Michaela Perry-Jones pulls away from Mariano Zavala once again. Keegan Mallory is still working on Riley Durbin coming out of Oak Tree, And we have yet another accident coming out of that corner. These rampages are certainly getting a little ridiculous. Keegan Mallory is not winning himself any friends in his charge back to the front. Riley Durbin goes out of the race. Michaela Perry-Jones now pits from the lead, handing it back over to Mariana Zavala. And the culprit is a cut tire once again, which also bites Chuck Johnson from third. It looks like there's something on track that some of these guys are running over, as we see Jim Kidd also into the pits. But the race restarts with 13 laps to go, and a very different top three. Mariano Zavala leads over Hunter Blaze. Blaze in the 17, trying to make something happen against the 94. Blaze had a shot at his second career win last week at the Carl Superstore, but lap traffic prevented that from happening. He finished fourth, and it looks like the 17 might be faster on the straights than the 94, but Mariana Zavala appears to be better in the corners. Michaela Perry-Jones is making her way back up to the front, and like so many others before her, she's not winning any friends, taking Thomas Kohler off the road, and Thomas Kohler's day ends in the tire wall. He was running in 10th and had been as high as 3rd. Social media is certainly going to be flaring up big time after this. Oh, here comes Michaela Perry-Jones against the 64 of Carrie Fenton, and if Carrie Fenton was smart, she might want to move out of the way. She's already been wrecked once today, but Michaela Perry-Jones, a little calmer around the 64, it appears, as they both come after the 86 of Grant Carson's teammate to Michaela Perry-Jones. Coming into turn 1, it looks like Carrie Fenton's going to let the Ike Durbin cars have the outside. But a very impressive comeback for Carrie Fenton, up to 6th place. Or rather, I think 7th now, as Perry-Jones gets by after getting wrecked on the first lap. And Michaela Perry-Jones continues to charge through the field. I believe this is going to be for... That's for 3rd place. She just got by Todd Stater in the 66 for 3rd, and she's gotten by everybody else cleanly, so hopefully the incident with Thomas Kohler was a one-time thing. But whether she's using the bumper or passing people cleanly, there's just nothing stopping the 93, it seems. She's right on the 17, coming out of Oak Tree, the favorite place for people to cause wrecks, it seems. Contact with the 17, but she keeps her foot in it and will get by Hunter Blaze coming out of the carousel. Mariano Zavala back in her sights now, and she is definitely the fastest car on the track. Coming to 9 laps to go now as they head into the final corner. Michaela Perry-Jones on the inside of Mariano Zavala, who can't really put up a fight. Michaela Perry-Jones back to the lead. Keegan Mallory is still coming up through the field, albeit at a much slower rate, thanks to the wrecks he's been, of his own doing and not of his own doing. Chuck Johnson and Jim Kidd have also been making up positions ever since their unscheduled pit stops. But Mallory is back up to 9th place and looks to work on the 18. He gets by Jim Kidd, and here he comes around the 64 of Carrie Fenton. That will be for 5th place. If Michaela Perry-Jones is the fastest car on the track, Keegan Mallory is the 2nd fastest. He's been making these passes look pretty easy, and thankfully he's been making most of his passes cleanly as well. At least until he gets to Todd Stater, coming out of, you guessed it, Oak Tree, gets into the back of the 66, and say it with me, Todd Stater goes into the tire walls. And the officials are not amused with Keegan Mallory's rampage. They would like to see him post-race. But that's not going to set Mallory back, as he makes the move on Mariano Zavala for 2nd place. Zavala not resisting once again. Mallory takes over 2nd, but Michaela Perry-Jones is long gone at this point, and we only have 3 laps left. Meanwhile, the battle for 4th is on between Jim Kidd and Hunter Blaze. Jim Kidd making a pretty good comeback of his own, even though he hasn't had the cleanest of races. Meanwhile, with absolutely no challenge, 13 seconds ahead of her closest rival, Michaela Perry-Jones rounds the final corner and cruises to her first FARC Low Dollar Series victory. Ike Durbin Inc. has certainly proven themselves to be a threat with their second victory of the season. Only 14 cars finished the race thanks to a lot of blown engines and a lot of people deciding to be too bumper happy. Most of all, Keegan Mallory, who won the most ire from the officials and was slapped with a 25-point penalty. Thomas Kohler and Sergei Yakovsky were certainly on their way to the front of the field until their problems. And of course, Mark Thompson finishes dead last, the first one out of the race in stage 1. But he still maintains a 32-point lead over Chuck Johnson. Michaela Perry-Jones jumps all the way up to 7th with her win. She was 22nd coming into this race. Carl Hampton dropped back a couple spots after failing to qualify, and it could have been a very good day for Sergei Yakovsky, but he blew up and only manages to climb to 25th. Next time, the FARC Low Dollar Series goes short track racing once again at the Berlin Raceway in Michigan. And as always, you'll be able to catch all the action right here on the FARC Racing Network.